Few things about the knee joint. It is the largest synovial joint in the body. It's a modified hinge joint. It's a compound joint. It's a compound joint. So you have on the medial side you have the two medial femoral and tibial condyles forming a joint. Lateral side you have the lateral condyles forming a joint. That is one joint. Then you have the joint between the patella and the anterior surface of the femur. Then actually these condylar joints, medial and lateral ones, they are divided into a large superior component and a very small inferior component by the presence of menisci. I'll show you that in a moment. Okay. So the main movement in the knee joint is flexion and extension, but it allows some rotatory movements also. You can actually, when you relax the muscles, you can actually passively rotate it. And same thing can happen during hyperextension. We discussed that when we discussed the locking and unlocking of the knee joint, where the femur and tibia rotates in relation to each other. Few things about Bursae. Not that you have to remember the names of all these Bursae, but knee joint, there are clinical points you get. Some of these Bursae, when they enlarge, you see it as a lump in the popliteal fossa, especially this semimembranosus and all, if I remember it correctly. The way to remember is this: the 12 Bursae you get around the knee joint. 4 are in front, okay. 4 are behind, and 4 on the sides. 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side. So that 4 into 3 is 12. Okay, 4 in front, 4 behind, 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side. Okay, so you can go through, specific names of these bursae. You have suprapatellar bursa, subcutaneous prepatellar bursa, subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa, deep infrapatellar bursa. All these names are there, but just remember, there are so many bursae around the knee joint. Okay. So these are, some of the posteriorly placed bursae, the semimembranosus, gastrocnemius, all these. Okay. Uh, I will not, I'm not going to read through it. Okay. So one point here, laterally and medially here, superficial and deep to the fibulocollateral ligament, and superficial and deep to the tibial collateral ligament. So in relation to the two, ligaments on either side of the knee joint, fibular collateral and tibial collateral ligament, you get small bursae, superficial to it and deep to them. Okay, that's how it makes it 4 on either side. Okay. Few things about menisci. We will discuss this about the menisci injuries also. Now, menisci, they are fibrocartilage. You know that. These intra-articular discs are usually fibrocartilage. So these fibrocartilage discs, they create a very small lower compartment here in which you can do these rotatory movements of the knee joint. Okay, during locking and unlocking. Then above the meniscus, it's all, flexion and extension. Okay, usual movements. Okay. Blood supply, okay, you have a knee anastomosis, which I will not go into details of. If you want, you can read it. Then the nerves, you get the nerve coming from the obturator nerve, then the tibial component of sciatic and the femoral nerves. Even the femoral nerve can supply the joint, because quadriceps muscles are supplied by the femoral nerve. Quadriceps muscles move the knee joint. Therefore, if you go by I think it's Hilton's law, no? Yes, Hilton's law. The nerve has to supply the joint also, because the muscles move the joints supplied by the nerve. Ligaments, again, there are so many ligaments surrounding the knee joint. The capsule is taken as a ligament by some authors. Then you have ligamentum patellae here in front, attached to the tibial tuberosity here. Then you have tibial collateral, little bit, flat, broad ligament, and a cord-like ligament, the fibulocollateral ligament on the lateral side. And at the back behind, even though it's not shown here, at the back behind, you get the oblique popliteal ligament, which is an extension of the semimembranosus tendon, actually. Then the most important ones are the intracapsular ligaments, the cruciate ligaments. Okay, there's a transverse ligament also. The cruciate ligaments are the most important ligaments here. You have anterior cruciate and posterior cruciate ligaments. They are named as anterior and posterior based on their attachment to the tibial plateau. So the one that is attached anteriorly on the tibial plateau is called anterior cruciate. And the anterior cruciate, it's directed backwards, upwards, and is inserted into the lateral condyle of femur. And during locking and unlocking, we said partly it is a reason for rotatory movement, because when you extend the knee joint, okay, when you extend the knee joint, the anterior cruciate gets taut and it stops the lateral condyle moving backwards further, but the medial condyle moves a little bit more. So you get femur rotating medially on tibia. Okay, so there is one reason for medial rotation and locking. Locking is a different issue anyway for medial rotation. Um, uh, a comparison between anterior cruciate and posterior cruciate. The posterior cruciate is the thicker one out of the two, thicker, shorter, and less oblique one. Okay, so anterior cruciate is longer, uh, thinner, and more oblique compared to the posterior cruciate ligament. Here you can see the posterior cruciate is almost straight and broad. Therefore, when you get cruciate ligament injuries, anterior cruciate is more prone to get injured than the posterior cruciate ligament. Okay, both can get damaged, but the anterior cruciate is more prone. Okay, and this is how they're attached, anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments on the tibial plateau. And if you put the menisci, this is how you see them. Okay, so their directions are like this. Anterior cruciate is directed backwards and laterally, posterior cruciate forwards and anteriorly, but it's less oblique compared to anterior cruciate. Then this commonness of ligament or meniscal injuries, uh, medial collateral ligament injuries are more common than lateral collateral ligament injuries. Okay, so medial one is tibial, lateral one is fibular collateral ligament. So medial one is more prone to get damaged than the lateral one. Then the medial meniscus injuries are more common than lateral meniscal injuries. Anterior cruciate ligament injuries are more common than posterior cruciate ligament injuries. We already discussed this one, because the posterior cruciate is more thicker, less oblique, and shorter. So it's less prone to damage. When it comes to this medial collateral and lateral collateral ligament thing, now as we said before, I don't know whether I said that in the previous lecture, the forces, say this when you play rugby or football, when they're tackling, or when there is some accidental force coming, usually it comes from outside. So the knee joint is actually hit from outside rather than inside. Okay, most of the time when the knee joint is hit from outside, the forces will separate the medial end. Force is coming from the lateral side. When the force comes from the lateral side, it is the medial side is the bones are separated because of abduction, the passive abduction of the joint. So it is the medial one that is more prone to get damaged because of that reason. Okay, so that is one reason for that. Then coming back to medial meniscal and lateral meniscal ones, medial meniscal injuries are more prone to get damaged because medial meniscus is attached to the medial collateral ligament. Maybe that is a reason for medial collateral ligament injury to be more common also, indirectly. Okay, so medial meniscus and medial collateral ligaments, they are attached. Okay, they are attached. Therefore, when there's a sudden movement, the meniscus cannot move out of danger. On the other hand, the lateral meniscus is not attached to the lateral collateral ligament. They are separate. Okay, they can move independently. And therefore, they don't have, when one gets damaged, the other one need not get damaged. Okay, so these are separate things. And on top of that, the lateral meniscus has an attachment to the popliteus muscle. So we said the popliteus, when the knee joint movements are there, popliteus muscle is active. It contracts to rotate the femur on tibia and all that. Especially during unlocking of the knee joint, locked knee joint, popliteus contracts and pulls the lateral condyle of femur backwards and laterally rotates the femur on tibia to unlock. Now, when the popliteus contracts, lateral meniscus also moves slightly. So when there's a sudden movement in the knee joint, popliteus contracts and pulls the lateral meniscus out of danger. That's what they say. And therefore, the injuries of lateral meniscus is less common than medial meniscus. So I think you got it. So I have written it down here. You can read it in your notes. Okay, why medial meniscus is more prone to injury. Okay, it's there in black and white. So this is the point I raised in the previous one. Why the medial one is, one reason why the medial one is more common, because the forces are coming from the lateral side. So you see the separation is on the medial side rather than on the lateral side when the forces are applied from the lateral side. That is the usual way it happens. So the stretching of the ligament on the medial side will damage it. Okay. Uh, like this, and if it is more extensive, then even the cruciate ligaments can get damaged. And okay, so this is a simple thing. The thing is, when you describe movements of the knee joint in a standing person, actually the tibia, the foot is fixed on the ground. With the foot, tibia is fixed. So when you describe the movements at the knee joint during even locking and unlocking, we always describe the movement of femur on tibia because the tibia is fixed. But when you examine bedside examination of a patient, when the person is lying down in the supine position like the images, it is the femur that is fixed. Okay. Tibia is the one that moves. So when you do this, testing for cruciate ligaments also, you apply the same principle. You move the tibia. You move the tibia, and if it can be, pushed backwards, then that means it's the posterior cruciate ligament damaged. If it can be moved forwards, if the tibia can be pulled forward in relation to the femur, that means the anterior cruciate is damaged. Okay. So the bone that is fixed is different in the standing position and in the lying down position. Okay.